है वो 20 साल से ज़्यादा इसकी है जब हमने ये शुरू किया, रादर उससे भी ज़्यादा। और ओरिजिनली इट वाज स्ट्रेटेजिक स्टडीज़, डिफेंस स्टडीज़ ओनली। और यहाँ पे आर्मी के एक इन्फ्लुएंस के साथ, और ये इन्फ्लुएंस तो इन वे ये नहीं था कि ये पढ़ाएं, लेकिन एक सोच थी कि ऐसे डिपार्टमेंट्स को ज़रूर प्रमोट किया जाए या बनाया जाए जो कि पाकिस्तान स्ट्रेटेजिक पॉलिसी पे, डिफेंस पॉलिसी पे गौर करे। इनिशियली हमारे पास एमएससी प्रोग्राम था, उससे पहले सर्टिफिकेट्स प्रोग्राम भी थे, and then we moved on to the MPhil program and later on to the PhD program. And now recently, since last 2 years I guess, we have moved towards the bachelor's program in BS studies, and that is very highly competitive program. जो हमारे यहाँ तालिब इल्म बैठे हैं वो लोग बाकायदा मेरिट से आए हैं, कोटा एंड मेरिट, जैसे कि कायद अज़म यूनिवर्सिटी एज अ पब्लिक इंस्टीट्यूशन का है। एमफिल स्टूडेंट्स हैं, फर्स्ट रो में आपके सामने बैठे हैं, एक दो पीएचडी के भी आएंगे, वो भी लेटर ज्वाइन करेंगे। एंड पैनल्स वर्क ही इज़ डूइंग। वी हैव इंट्रोड्यूस मैंडरिन चाइनीज़ लैंग्वेज एज अ कंपल्सरी लैंग्वेज इन आवर बैचलर्स प्रोग्राम। ये हमने क्यों बनाई? हमारी बैचलर्स प्रोग्राम की आर्किटेक्ट है डॉक्टर सायरा आकिल, शी इज़ द वन हु इज़ द कोऑर्डिनेटर एज वेल ऑफ द प्रोग्राम। एक सोच थी, बेसिक सोच ये है कि हमारे जो स्टूडेंट्स हैं हम उन्हें इतना इक्विप करें कि वो कल सीपेक रिलेटेड और चाइनीज़ बिजनेसेस में जाके कहीं ना कहीं उन्हें जॉब मिले। ये पूरा एडवांस प्रोग्राम नहीं है, लेकिन इट इज़ द बिगनर्स प्रोग्राम। सो जस्ट वी वर डिस्कसिंग अर्लियर, वी वुड लाइक टू हैव सम सॉर्ट ऑफ अ बूट कैम्प और द वर्कशॉप प्राइमरीली ऑन चाइनीज़ पॉलिसी। आप उनको ऐसा, आपका जो इंस्टीट्यूट है उसे लीड भी करता है टू गिव एन इंट्रोडक्शन टू आवर डिपार्टमेंट। मैंने अपने डिपार्टमेंट का काफ़ी इंट्रोडक्शन दे दिया है, सिर्फ कुछ चीज़ें मैं स्टूडेंट्स को बताना चाहती हूँ रावे साहब के बारे में। वैसे तो आप व्हेन यू फॉलो यू विल फाइंड अ लॉट, लेकिन जो आपके लिए सोर्स ऑफ इंस्पिरेशन और दूसरी हैं कि ही हैज़ बीन अ पार्ट ऑफ द प्राइम मिनिस्टर टास्क फोर्स ऑन क्लाइमेट चेंज। ये ऐसा टॉपिक है जो कि अब हमारे स्टूडेंट्स हैं, वी आर फोकसिंग ऑन क्लाइमेट सिक्योरिटी एज वेल, एंड ऑल्सो ऑन द सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट कमेटी ऑफ फॉरेन ऑफिस। ये अलहदा बात है, इन्होंने काम क्या किया ये आप उनसे पूछिएगा। मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ फूड सिक्योरिटी एंड रिसर्च, देन क्लाइमेट एक्शन नेटवर्क ऑफ साउथ एशिया। मैं आपको ज़रा टफ सिचुएशन में डाल रही हूँ। ट्रेड एंड डेवलपमेंट फोरम ऑफ साउथ एशिया, then the diplomacy global diplomacy lab, this is very very interesting through German foreign office initiative, and also the global leadership academy mashallah of Germany as well, imagine new South Asia। इतनी चीज़ें हैं कि जो पढ़ना मुश्किल हैं, लेकिन बड़ी बड़ी भारी भारी चीज़ें हैं जो इन्होंने ये कर चुके हैं। तो with this I will invite Shakil Rame Saab to take the podium and share his thoughts on the subject today.
If you want to stay relevant in the market, you have to read. There is no alternative of reading. So reading is compulsory, whatever you are doing, if you want to stay relevant. Otherwise, you will repeat the same message again and again. Let's start. First, I will give you a brief introduction of modern China. I'm not talking about the history of China because that will take much time. So if you look in the modern China, so that they give the concept of community with a shared future. Maybe you have heard this phrase many times from the Chinese leadership, from President Xi Jinping to their lower cadres of the leadership. You will find they will talk about community with a shared future. It is not just an abstract idea. It is a concrete thing. One thing I will go quickly because I have 25 to 30 minutes I have to speak. Okay. Okay. So, okay. Community. It is not an abstract idea. It is based on concrete programs. Because if you study or try to compare the Western philosophy with the Chinese philosophy, there is one fundamental difference. Western philosophy is talking about concept to concept, theory to theory. But in the Chinese philosophy, they says concept or theory must be practiced. If it is practiced, it should lead to the action. With the practice, action, theory, it create the knowledge. And then you refine your concept, theories and everything, and the implementation plan. That's why they think execution of plan is very important. For that purpose, they came with first program for the economic development. Because when you talk about a shared community, this does not mean just you are talking to each other. This means you are making progress together. You are peacefully coexisting, but also getting the benefits of the peaceful coexistence in the form of the economics. Economics is very important. Poverty, जिसको हम बात करते हैं, या development, welfare, it's a very important. We sometimes we ignore it, but it is a basis of anything or any society. For example, आपको पता है नबी सल्लम की हदीस है कि करीब है गुर्बत इंसान को कुफर तक ले जाए. Welfare is so important. When you are hungry, you can eat pig. So this is so fundamental to any society, any culture, economic development, and to share. That is the first concept of the community with a shared future. For that purpose, they launched Belt and Road Initiative. That is another story. Second initiative is Global Development Initiative. That is parallel to, you can say, Sustainable Development Goals, but Chinese say we are just trying to focus and contribute to achieve Sustainable Development Goals. It have 9 specific areas, so where you can read about it. 9 specific areas including climate change, poverty, trade, industrialization, and many other things. Then the third one is Security Initiative. That may interest you. I think you must have some dedicated session on that. That is a new concept which the President Xi Jinping has introduced. He said there should be the 4 pillars of global security when we're talking. Common, comprehensive, coordinated, and sustainable security. Common means there should be no talk like that, my security is prime than your security. Like what we are seeing in the Western country, they can attack any country on the name of their security or their interest. So then no, it should not be the concept my security, it should be the concept our security. Second, comprehensive, we should talk about traditional and non-traditional equally. Because traditional and non-traditional, they are not different. Third, they're coordinated. Whatever policy you are going to make, it should not be like that somebody is making the policy and bringing it to the people. No. Sit together, bring together their ideas. Their concerns must be met. When you say common, then policy must be the coordinated. Sustainable security means it also includes the development. Only though that security is seen the slogans in the uniformity, diversity but in the uniformity. We live in harmony in uniformity. Like that, if you talk about anything, Western countries say our values. Only few handful of countries. So that they want to make a uniform society. That is not possible. China say harmony with diversity. You are diverse, but you find the ways to live together. That is harmony. Harmony means harmony planet needs, like we say environment, has been recognized as the equal partner. Otherwise, in the Western model of the development, we are talking about environment and external factor. That's why we are facing the challenge of climate change. Middle East is transforming. So Middle East with GCC, Global Gulf Cooperation Vision. So region is diversifying, like Kuwait, like Qatar. So every country, they are bringing the new things. Saudi Arabia is building new city for the tourism. So that region is diversifying. One thing and second thing. जब वो जाएगा तो सबको अपने लिए चाहिए नई चीज़ें चाहिए. That's why there's a competition. Most intense competition is between Saudi Arabia and UAE. Read about it. You will find the new dimensions how they are competing with each other without creating conflict. We always, for example, a few years back, I started to teach at Foreign Services Academy on negotiation skills. And it was shocking for me. There was no simulation practice. One thing and second thing, the negotiation skills were concentrated or focused on enemy negotiations. Like with India, like with other adversaries. But the negotiations are not like that. Negotiations are a very comprehensive subject. Like you have to negotiate FTA, Foreign Trade Agreement. You don't do it with the enemy. You do it with the friends. That's in the different skill set when you have to deal with that. So the region is diversifying. And if you look at their economy, so this is their economy cumulatively, it will be more nearby $5 trillion, the total economy of that region. If you more specifically look at Gulf cooperation, so they are the biggest region, and you can see the richest also. So they have this economy, 2 trillion. If you look at their trade, that is around 1.3 trillion. If you look at their, these are exports. If you look at their imports, 733 billion. And if you look at their surplus export, 239 billion. And if you look at their surplus imports, 248 billion US dollar. So that's mean this is a trade volume. Trade volume more than 2 trillion. When some region or the 5 countries, their population is very small population, these are countries. Only except Saudi Arabia, which is, I think, 36 million people, or 37 million people. Rest are the few millions. So that's why, if you look at in the previous section, so their per capita income is very high. But region is also diverse. Look at the economy of Saudi Arabia. Where is Saudi Arabia? I think there is some problem. And then Yemen, only 28. One country is trying to become $1 trillion economy. Turkey is trying to become a $1 trillion economy. Iran is a big economy. Other countries, but still they have the countries like Yemen, Syria. They're very low. So region is very diverse. In that diverse region, they have to bring up their investment. So now there are the basic questions. There are 3 basic questions. You know about China, you know about Middle East. Now there are the 3 basic questions. What China want? And these are the questions which I have taken from a paper written by Carnegie Foundation, Endowment Fund. So they have raised these questions also. What role China want? A diplomatic fixer? Investment, a disinterested economic giant? Or the military patron? Now try to find the question, answers in this presentation. Diplomacy. In diplomacy, these are 3 basic theories or models of the diplomacy. Number 1, that is a Western model. The model which says there's no permanent friend or enemy. Only interest are the prime. आज दुश्मन है, कल दोस्त बन जाएंगे अगर इंटरेस्ट एक हुए तो. अगर दोस्त हैं तो इंटरेस्ट डिफरेंट हुए, कल तो हम दुश्मन बन जाएंगे. The prime example I gave on this from the recent history. आपको पता है ये आकाश की डील जो हुई थी, जो अमेरिका और यूके ने ऑस्ट्रेलिया को सबमरीन बेचने वाली, पहले ये डील फ्रांस के साथ थी ऑस्ट्रेलिया की. एंड दे स्नैच्ड इट बिहाइंड द वॉल्स. आपके क्लोज अलाए हैं ऑस्ट्रेलिया, क्वाड का हिस्सा है. फ्रांस जो है जिसने एशिया पैसिफिक को इंडो पैसिफिक बनाने के लिए इतना रिसोर्स खर्च किया, पेपर करवाए, सारा कुछ करवाए, किसी तरह एशिया पैसिफिक का नाम हट के इंडो पैसिफिक हो जाए. उन दोस्त को उन्होंने बुरे तरीके से धकेल दिया, जिसको फ्रांस कहता था इट्स अ स्टैब इन द बैक. सो दैट इज अ वेस्टर्न मॉडल. योर इंटरेस्ट इज प्राइम. Chinese model is relation based. They say if you are an enemy, try to transform that into neutrality. If you are neutral, try to transfer it to a friend. And if you are a friend, try to translate it to the iron brother or brotherhood. They have believing in the relation base. It does not mean they don't care for the interest, but the interests are subordinate to the relationship. And a relationship based on the transformation. Like when they say win-win cooperation, that is the relation base. They say, yes, we will win-win cooperation, we will do the cooperation, and we will benefit, you will also benefit. क्योंकि चाइनीज़ फिलासफी ये कहती है, अगर आज आपने अपनी ताकत इस्तेमाल करते हुए किसी को स्नब कर दिया और सारा बेनिफिट ले गए, कल जब उसके पास ताकत आएगी वो आप पे हमला करेगा. They will come back to you. It's a matter of time कि when he will be able to do that. अगर विन विन कॉपरेशन होगा तब कल अगर स्ट्रांग होगा तो आपके साथ कॉपरेट करेगा. थर्ड इज मुस्लिम, जिसको हमने कभी प्रैक्टिस नहीं किया. तो ये कहते हैं एम्पैथी. व्हाट यू थिंक अबाउट यू सेल्फ think about the others. But we never practice. So that's why we don't know about the Islamic philosophy. So anyway, so this is, China is following its philosophy. आपको एक और मजे की बात बताऊं, आपको पता है मिडिल ईस्ट में कौन सा पहला मुल्क था जिसने चाइना से तलक बनाना चाहा था, to build the diplomatic relations? इजराइल। 1950 में जब अभी इसको साल भी नहीं हुआ था, उन्होंने पैगाम भेजा था कि हम आपसे डिप्लोमेटिक रिलेशन चाहते हैं। चाइना रिफ्यूज्ड, रिजेक्टेड, दे सेड नो, यू हैव द प्रॉब्लम ऑफ द पैलेस्टाइन, सॉल्व इट, देन वी विल थिंक अबाउट इट। चाइना वाज सो प्रो अरब एंड द पैलेस्टाइन। और दूसरा प्रॉब्लम ये भी, हम जब मिडिल ईस्ट को पढ़ते हैं तो हमारे ज़हन में सिर्फ चंद अरब ममालिक आते हैं, दो इसराइल वगैरह को तो हम, या ईरान वगैरह को हम उसमें शामिल ही नहीं करने की कोशिश करते हैं। सो इसराइल वाज द फर्स्ट कंट्री इन 1950। अच्छा ये बताएं मज़े की एक और बात, चल देखते हैं, सऊदी अरेबिया और चाइना के डिप्लोमेटिक रिलेशन कब बने, किस सन में? चल डेकेड बता दें, सन छोड़े, डेकेड बता दें। एनी अदर गेस? 1990। और इसकी भी एक हिस्ट्री है जो मैं आगे शेयर करूंगा। सो चाइना हैज साइंड वन बाय वन द स्ट्रेटेजिक पार्टनरशिप। सऊदी अरेबिया के साथ 1990 में बने थे, यूएई के साथ 1992 में थे। क्यों? ये कम्युनिस्ट ब्लॉक के अगेंस्ट थे, वो नहीं जाते थे सऊदी अरेबिया इनके साथ। तो सऊदी अरेबिया फिर गया क्यों? चलिए अभी आपसे शेयर करता हूँ। जब 80s में, लेट 80s में इसराइल ने हमला किया इराक के न्यूक्लियर प्रोग्राम पे, सऊदी अरेबिया भागा भागा गया अपने वेस्टर्न अलाइज के पास कि मुझे डिफेंस के लिए मिज़ल दो लॉन्ग रेंज। दे सेड चलो जाओ, कोई मज़ार मजूल नहीं है, कुछ नहीं है। एट दैट टाइम सऊदी अरेबिया कंटेक्टेड थ्रू पाकिस्तान एंड अदर सोर्सेज टू चाइना, सो चाइना प्रोवाइडेड देम दैट शील्ड। अब एक थोड़ी बात थोड़ा एनालाइज करें। एक साइड पे अरब के लिए या पैलेस्टाइन के लिए ईरान 1950 में इजराइल को रिजेक्ट कर देता है, और दूसरी तरफ अरब उनको अभी तक एक्सेप्ट ही नहीं कर रहे। अगेंस्ट दिस बैकड्रॉप द रिलेशनशिप स्टार्टेड टू डेवलप। और अब क्या है, अब आप देखेंगे आगे कितने उन्होंने ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन कैसे आ रही है। सो दीज आर डिफरेंट स्ट्रेटेजिक cooperation agreements which China have signed with the Middle Eastern countries. Then economy. I gave you two pictures of economy quickly. One, pre-BRI, and second is after BRI. This is the pre-BRI. Chinese investment is mostly concentrated in Iraq, Saudi Arabia, not very much diversified. But after BRI, so the distribution has been increased. UAE become the major partner. But now it's again changing. This is 2021. So every year they keeps on changing. But the main point is, it's a diversifying. ये मुख्तलिफ वेबसाइट से है। ये आप देखें ना कि जो डेटा मिल सकता है कि एक तो BRI की अपनी वेबसाइट है, आप उससे ले सकते हैं। फिर एक दो सेंटर बने हुए हैं BRI के नाम पे, आप उनसे ले सकते हैं। मगर जो कि आप कोशिश करेंगे जो BRI की ऑफिशियल वेबसाइट है ना उस पर जाएँ, तो फिर ये जो डाटा है ये मिडल ईस्ट के कंट्रीज़ का डाटा है कि जब उन्होंने वो खुद प्रेजेंट किया, उनकी मुख्तलिफ ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, मतलब उनका है एक ऑब्जर्वेटरी रिसर्च सेंटर है, इस मिडल ईस्टर्न सेंटर है, बड़े सारे उनके डाटाज के हैं, तो आप वहाँ से उठाते हैं ये डाटा। सो दिस इज डाइवर्सिफाइंग द सेम वे इन फॉर्म ऑफ सेक्टर्स। फर्स्ट energy is 86%, but after BRI, although still energy is the biggest, but it's a diversifying. These are the investments. I'm not talking about trades. Don't confuse it with the trade data. This is an investment. किस सेक्टर किस किस में इन्वेस्टमेंट जा रही थी चाइना की, प्री BRI, आफ्टर BRI, अब उसकी डाइवर्सिफिकेशन हो रही है मुख्तलिफ डिपार्टमेंट में। मैं देखें अभी रिसेंटली जो 22 का इसमें डाटा शामिल नहीं है, इसमें रिसेंटली जो चाइना ने इसमें किया है 2022 में और 23 में भी, हवावे ने सऊदी अरेबिया में डेटा सेंटर्स क्रिएट किया है, जो रीजन का सबसे बड़ा है ना, ये क्लाउड सेंटर, वहाँ से किया है। माइक्रोसॉफ्ट वहाँ जा रहा है और दूसरे भी जा रहे हैं। फिर जाजान सिटी है, वहाँ पर मोर देन 22 बिलियन यूएस डॉलर की इन्वेस्टमेंट हो चुकी है सऊदी अरेबिया में। इराक में लास्ट ईयर जो था $10 बिलियन इन्वेस्ट किया चाइना ने इसमें, कंस्ट्रक्शन में और डिफरेंट चीज़ों में। सो दैट यूएई के साथ भी ऐसे ही है इन्वेस्टमेंट। मतलब इनका एक जॉइंट बना रहे हैं, वो स्पेशल इकोनॉमिक जोन्स बना रहे हैं। फिर फाइनेंशियल मार्केट में कोलैबोरेशन चल रहा है, फिर ट्रेड मार्केट में चल रहा है। सो चाइनीज़ इन्वेस्टमेंट इज़ डाइवर्सिफाइंग इन रीजन। नाउ लुक एट द ट्रेड. The trade was $262 billion in 2027, and it has become 507, almost double in the last 5 years. I'm not talking about the 20 years back. So you can see, how quick transformation is happening in the bilateral relation. And these are the major, this trade is concentrated in the GCC countries. And then these are the statistics. Look, China is the number 1 trade partner for how many countries? 1, 2, 3, 4. It also includes the Egypt. Egypt is in North Africa. So they are not included in the Middle East. They are in the North Africa. But the map which I taken from there, so they are talking about MENA region. MENA region. But I'm just talking about here only. You concentrate on Middle Eastern countries. Then, so this is a GCC export to China. They have suddenly started to increasing. This is a very interesting map. You read it and calculate how much oil or energy China is importing from this region. Almost 1/5 from only Saudi Arabia. 1/5 of its demand. And you know what is the demand of oil in China right now? It is 13.4 million barrels per day. That would be around about 17 point something in 2030. So China, the major exports come from Middle East. 11%, 19% from Saudi, 11% from Iraq. That's mean 30%. 7% from 8% from Oman, 38%. Kuwait 7%, 45, 50. So more than 50, almost 60% oil is coming from Middle East. So that is importance by bilateral trade. That's why Middle East in the future, that is a future forecast. Just you can read it. So how much China will be importing oil from globe? 70% of their domestic need, 40% their energy gas, and Saudi Arabia will be providing 1/5 of that. That's why the region has become very important. This is Israel. We have already spoke about the China-Israel relationship, but now Israel also an important trade partner. China is increasing, and the thing to note in a bilateral relation of Israel and China is that the collaboration is mostly in the technology field. That is also admission that Israel is far ahead from the region and many from the developing countries in the technological fields. That's why Chinese cooperation is mostly based on in the technology. And now they are, maybe in this year it will happen, they are negotiating a free trade agreement, China and Israel. Maybe that will be finalized. Once that agreement is finalized, that means the cooperation will further enhance. Now go back to the theory. When I talk about China, talk about the transformation relation. At one time they rejected the friendship or the relationship with Israel. But now, when the Arab country, they are themselves recognized. For example, Iran was the second country to recognize Israel after Turkey. So now both countries, they are championing the cause. But they were the two countries who recognized Israel at the first. So they have developed their relation and transformed their relation. Notice, I think one Okay. There was a map. That map is missing. I sent you another presentation. So there was a map I wanted to show you. So what impact of this conflict can have at this point of the time, what is happening in the Middle East? If China is almost importing 60% its oil from region, then what is happening at the Gulf, a Persian Gulf, or Hormuz, or near the other, you can say the port, near the Yemen, where the Houthis are very active. If the major conflict outbreak there, so what will be about the energy needs of China? Because 60% is coming there, 60% oil is almost ceased to come. Now we have to question why Houthis are doing this, and other countries, why they are letting them to do it. US is just waiting the conflict becomes so serious they have to intervene. Once they have to intervene, that will be a choking point. Blockade. Now you can see the big picture behind the Israeli aggressions. That is not topic for today, but you can yourself analyze the big picture. They are step by step, they are escalating it. Now coming to Lebanon, then Syria, then other countries. So basic picture is, big picture, once this region become a choking point, that point become the choking point, the 60% oil will stop to go to China. And that will be problematic. But China can make sense from Russia, they can enhance other things. They also have vast reservoirs. But at this point of the time. Now come to the security. In the global security initiative, that we have already spoken. So China has built their cooperation on the basis of global security initiative. These are the two major points which the President Xi Jinping identified. He says there is a security deficit and there is a development deficit. That's why there is a widespread extremism and the terrorism in the region. And the foreign meddling is creating problem on top of that. According to President Xi Jinping theory, development is the master key for the peace. Unless you are not covering the development security deficit, you will not have the security. So Chinese security model goes hand in hand. I give you brief introduction of the diplomacy, brief introduction of economy. Now this is a brief introduction of security. How China is looking at security in the region and what they have suggested for different models. Then China talk about both type of cooperation, not a single. This is traditional. In traditional, you see, I told you when the Saudi Arabia needed something, so it was China who gave them the long-range missiles, not their allies. अब देखें, हालांकि सऊदी अरेबिया ईरान के अमेरिका के साथ मिलके अफगानिस्तान जिहाद में भी लगा हुआ था, पूरी दुनिया में लगा हुआ था, वो इतना उन्होंने अहमियत दी कि नहीं, हम आपको नहीं देंगे. So that's why Saudi and Chinese or UAE or Iran, मतलब ईरान इस वक्त बहुत मुश्किल में है, तो ईरान, China is giving them the breathing space. Economically, security, इम्पोर्टर रहे हैं दुनिया में ये चाइनीज़ के, मगर अब चाइना की एक्सपोर्ट मज़ीद बढ़ गई है इनकी, क्या कहते हैं कि इनके रीजन में, और उनके साथ जॉइंट ट्रेनिंग्स भी कर रहे हैं. मतलब सऊदी अरेबिया और चाइना ने नेवल की एक्सरसाइज की थी, फिर चाइना ने, फिर ईरान और रशिया ने मिलकर नेवल एक्सरसाइज की थी. सारा कुछ कर रहे हैं. फिर इनको चाइना बेच रहा है, फाइटर जेट भी दे रहा है, ड्रोन भी दे रहा है, टेक्नोलॉजी भी दे रहा है, सारा कुछ दे रहा है. और नॉन ट्रेडिशनल इज़ अ वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग. नॉन ट्रेडिशनल में बहुत एक्सपेंडेड है. अब देखते जाइए इनके एरियाज. So in each and every field, so they want to deal security relation in a comprehensive way, not pick and choose. As I said, so President Xi Jinping said, development is the master key for the peace. So they're bringing the master key with themselves, not just only talking about selling the weapons or anything. They're bringing also the master key. And other thing which you have to watch in the coming days, This cooperation, especially in non-traditional, it's not a business as usual. The cooperation in climate change, in cybersecurity especially, you have to watch. Because here China and the Middle East want to set the standards and set the rules. That is a major ideological clash between the Western ideology and Chinese ideology. Because Western ideology set the standards. Right now you see the standards of most of things, internet, telephone, and environment, everything. But no, China is coming big way. They say we will set the standards. And they have the instruments to set. Why? They have no competitor in the 5G technology. They have no competitor in the artificial intelligence. 6G, they're still experimenting, but 5G is, you can say that on the ground, is available. They have no competitor in the artificial intelligence. And they are leading the implementation of green agenda of the world. You know, and the NASA has shown from 70 to the onward, so 25% greening came from the China. It's a NASA data, not the Chinese data. 25% greening, or you can say plantation drive, came from China. If you convert it into the numbers, when I was looking at data in 1976, so China area under the forest was around about 13. And it was, if we look into 1949, it was only 9% or 8% something. Now today, 24% of Chinese area is under forest. But in the media, you will see China is doing the bad on the climate change, environment, everything. No? And you know what does this mean? If we compare only from 1976, that means 11% more area came under forest of China. Do you know what is the size of China? More than 9 million square kilometer. Pakistan is only 0.79 million square kilometer. That means almost 1.2 million square kilometer they bring under forest. More area brought under the forest from 1976 to 2022. Almost 1.5 Pakistan. मगर वो हमारी तरह नहीं 100 बिलियन ट्री लगा लें तो वो आसमान पे चढ़ जाते हैं 1 बिलियन ट्री लगा दिया हमने. No, imagine equal to 1.5 Pakistan. Whole Pakistan is under forest. Then again they say the rest of 5% equal to. They brought under the forest. So the standards. Then this is a 5-point agenda for the Middle East. When you talk about the Middle East, Chinese vision of the security. This is their 5-point agenda. They say mutual respect. There should be the mutual respect. Nobody should be junior or senior. Everybody should be equally treated. Mutual respect. Second, equity and justice. Equity and justice means justice is there are two states. Palestine must have an independent state. Until unless you address this question of Palestine, you cannot achieve the peace in the region. And latest paper by China in 2022 on the Global Security Initiative, they specifically talked about Palestine issue. So in Chinese people, or the people who are sitting in the UN, permanent representative, every month at least once he raised the issue of the Palestine. They are doing more than any other country in the world. Okay. So then you can quickly have these things. This is the 4-point agenda for Syria.
No, don't rush.
Let's.
आप इधर ही podium पे ही questions ले लें.
हाँ, इधर ही ले लेंगे.
You have to leave at 1 o'clock.
Yes, I have to.
And we can have a more question answer.
Okay, I just quickly gave them. So these are the 4-point agenda for Syria. And this is this is agenda for Palestine. So these are the areas China is promoting. I wish we can have someday. This is example which I must want to tell you and share with you. After that we will go to the question and answer. Yazan city. This is a classic example how China applied economy, diplomacy, and security to solve one issue. Jazan city is in the southern part of Saudi Arabia, near the border of Yemen. From that area, the Houthis or the other terrorist group, they were attacking Saudi Arabia. From that area, in this area, China invested almost $22 billion in special economic zone, education, infrastructure, everything. No Houthis or Yemenis, they are not attacking that area anymore. So if China spoke with Iran, they broke a deal with Saudi Arabia. Because now whatever was happening, so they cannot play the behind the scene games. Because if the drone is coming to that area, crossing that area, that means you are trespassing, also endangering the lives and the investment of Chinese. So China is using the economy to bring countries together. Simultaneously, China offered Iran, we will give you the breathing space. They are not taking the stick to tell everybody do that, do that. China is creating opportunities where they can cooperate and they can coexist peacefully. So that is a fundamental difference where China does not talk about the alliances. China talk about the partnerships. So that is a basic difference between China and Americans. They are building the alliances. China is building the partnerships. This is one classic example to understand how economic opportunities can help to diffuse the tension or end the conflict. Thank you so much. Rest is there. If you need anything in the future, you can also contact me. These are the few things. But these are the 8 areas. You must read it. These are the new.